ChatGPT is great, but I prefer Claude. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can set Claude up and use it for content projects. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Claude, it's basically an artificial intelligence tool, much like ChatGPT, except it's trained by Anthropic using constitutional AI. And I found the results are great for content and also for taking an idea that I might have and turning it into a finished project. Now, it's pretty easy to get set up on Claude. You can sign up with your Google address. Claude has a number of different plans, so you can try it for free and you can use it on your iPhone or your Android device. And this will give you access to all of the latest models. But to be honest, if you start using Claude, you're going to have to upgrade to the Pro version. And the pricing is pretty much the same compared to ChatGPT. So it's $18 if you pay for the entire year, or $20 if you just want to do it on a monthly basis. There is a team option, but you'll notice that you need to have a minimum of 5 team members. So that works out at approximately $125 per month, which is a little bit pricey if you want to add somebody to your account. Before we go any further, I've crafted this giveaway. It contains 101 prompts that you can use for Claude, ChatGPT, and other AI tools. If you want to get it, check out the link that I've included in the description below this video. Once you've set up Claude, take a moment to head over to Settings. And here you can make a few little tweaks which should make your experience a little bit better. Head to the What Preferences should Claude consider in responses, and write in a line or two about what you expect from Claude. Now, don't spend too much time doing this because you can actually customize this on a project level, which I'll show you in a few moments. So I simply tell Claude to be concise, direct, encouraging, and avoid waffle and filler, because sometimes AI can ramble and go on. You can also change the capabilities Claude has. So Claude artifacts are ideal if you want to share text documents or website designs online, and I'll show you some examples in a moment. You may want to turn this on if it's turned off. You can also ask it to include prompt examples and CSV chat suggestions. If you have a lot of content in Google Drive, I would recommend connecting it to your Google Drive because it will simplify uploading documents into Claude. And if you're going to use this for coding, which I won't cover too much in this video, you can connect it to GitHub as well. In the appearances section, you can change from light, dark, or system colors. You can manage your billing in the billing section, and you can of course log out of Claude on other devices on the account section. Once you're in Claude, there are a couple of models you can pick from. At the time of recording, Claude 3.7 is the latest version, and I found it is surprisingly good, and in some cases the responses far surpassed ChatGPT. Now, depending on how many people are using Claude, you may want to make sure that you're on the correct style. So normal will generate a standard output from Claude 3.7, but if you find the output is too concise, Claude may have defaulted too concise, so just make sure you change this to or back to normal. There are some additional styles that you can pick from, which are quite useful if you're generating content, or you can create and edit your own style. To create and edit your own style, simply click on the Create Custom Style button, and you can describe your objective, your audience, your tone of voice, or you can just simply write a few sentences about what this style is all about. And you can write some custom instructions as well. You can also upload some writing samples in here too, much like you would do when you're writing a good AI prompt. And elsewhere in my channel, I have a detailed walkthrough where I explain how to write a great prompt for AI tools, including Claude, so be sure and check that out. If you click on Nevermind, I have an example. Select Upload from Device, or you can simply copy and paste from your writing app. Now again, I prefer to do this on a project level rather than across Claude as a whole, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. Claude works pretty much the same as ChatGPT, so simply tell it who it is, what you want, and if you have a bit more time, provide examples of what you think an ideal output should look like. So in this case, I've asked Claude, or told Claude it's an AI coach, and I need 10 use cases for how creators can use AI. And I've asked Claude to be specific. And if I want, I can copy this to my clipboard and work on it in Google Docs or another writing app. And I can give positive or negative feedback, or ask Claude to retry with no changes or retry with extended thinking. Now, I don't spend too much time on extended thinking because that's better for math and coding challenges. And again, I'm using Claude specifically from the point of view of a creator or as somebody who's using Claude to help, I suppose, with their marketing and with their content. You also have options for uploading files from your computer. So if I navigate to the Red tab, here is all of the training data that I have on my Mac, and I've uploaded these to specific projects. So if you have a lot of text files on your computer, Make sure you tag them or categorize them so you can upload them to specific Claude projects. You can also attach screenshots. So if you want to take a screenshot, Claude can interpret it. And that's quite useful, for example, for wireframes. You can connect to GitHub if you're using it for coding. And you can also connect to your Google Drive. So I connected it to my Google Drive before I started recording. And as you can see, it's able to quickly reference some of my Google Docs. So this particular Google Doc is an email I wrote for my email list earlier on this morning. I can tell Claude that it's a copywriter and I wanted to analyze my direct response email for tone, style, and writing fixes. If you click on the Google Drive icon, you can quickly search through all of your files inside of Google Drive. So here is an email I wrote to my list this morning, and I wrote this inside of Google Docs. So I'm just going to open up this so you can see it. So it's a 400 plus word email all about lead magnets. So I'm going to tell Claude it's a copywriter. I'd like it to analyze my email, which is in Google Docs, analyze the writing, tone, and grammar and come up with some improvements, and also suggest some call to actions and additional content. I've made sure I'm on Claude 3.7. I'm just going to use the normal style for now. And now Claude will read through the Google Doc and it might ask for a little bit more information. But in this case, it's summarized what's working in the email. It's come up with a fix for my subject line. It's come up with a fix for my introduction, the content structure, the CTA, and some additional ideas for things that I could write about. Now, in this case, it's told me my subject line is strong, but it could be more targeted to audience pain points. I don't know about you, but I don't have time to write 5 different subject lines. So I'm going to ask Claude, can you come up with 10 subject lines for my email? And now it's come up with 10 different subject lines that I can pick from. So as you can see, this can dramatically speed up the amount of time I spend on mundane writing tasks like writing email subject lines. Now, if at any point I want to find my recent chats, I can use the left-hand sidebar, which is pretty much the same as ChatGPT, or I can find my recent chats at the bottom of Claude. Or alternatively, I can click on View All and you can see all 729 chats I've had with Claude and I can search. So I found this is a little bit more intuitive than ChatGPT for finding older conversations. Claude can also analyze screenshots. So I took a screenshot of CoinMarketCap, which is basically a market listing for all of the popular cryptocurrencies. Then I grabbed the screenshot from my screenshot tool, which in this case is Snagit. I dropped it into Claude and I asked it what's happening with crypto today. Now again, you could use this exact same process to analyze your wireframes or to analyze any picture that you've taken. So in this case, it summarized that Bitcoin is down, Ethereum is up, and most cryptocurrencies are having a negative day. You could also upload audio or video files and ask Claude to help you with transcriptions. And you can even upload CSVs if you want to analyze data. But again, I'm just going to focus on content for this video. Now, one of my favorite features in Claude is Claude Projects, and you can search for your projects here, but I'm actually going to show you how to set one up. So just navigate to the left-hand sidebar and then look for projects. So here are all of the projects that I currently have. I have a project for writing daily notes for Substack, for creating SEO descriptions, for analyzing my emails, for coming up with offers, and for creating content for some of my niche or niche websites. So you simply click on Create Project, give the project a title, explain what you're trying to achieve, and then Claude will create the project for you. Now, the Claude project isn't quite ready yet, so you need to write a prompt in project instructions. And I recommend you come up with a persona for the project whereby you tell it who it is. You come up with a task, context, and format. So the persona could be, hey Claude, you're a copywriter. The task could be, I want you to write some direct response emails. The context could be, I'm trying to sell a new course. And then for the format, I would say refer to the uploaded training data. And of course, to upload training data, you just simply click on Project Knowledge and you can upload them from your computer, paste them in, or connect to Google Drive. And I'd say upload at least 5 to 10 examples of what an ideal output would look like if you really want to get value from your Claude project. So as an example, I've created a Claude project which takes some of my daily emails and turns them into posts for LinkedIn. So if I click on Project Knowledge, you can see an example of my prompt. So I've told Claude who it is and what it is that I'm trying to achieve. Now I spent a bit of time going backwards and forwards with Claude, asking it to improve this particular set of project instructions. Then I uploaded some example posts in these 3 different documents. Basically, I found posts that got quite good impressions or engagement on LinkedIn, uploaded them to Claude and asked him to refer to it. So here's an example of one of my daily emails that I put into this Claude project. Because it's a project, I didn't need to provide any prompt. I just simply pasted the email in. And the Claude project generated not one, but 3 different LinkedIn posts. I quickly read through them, picked one that I felt was most relevant, added a personal touch and cleaned it up and added it to my social media scheduling tool. It also created versions that I could use for Twitter as well. So basically you can use a Claude project for anything that's repeatable or anything you find yourself doing over and over. So these days I basically like to come up with the idea for a piece of content, write a draft, and then use a tool like Claude to iterate it into different content formats. If you're going to use Claude projects, I would recommend reviewing your project instructions once a week or once every few weeks to make sure you're happy with the outputs. So here is one of my Claude projects that I used to analyze my daily email and come up with supporting content. So as an example, I wrote an email all about an AI tool. This Claude project comes up with subject lines, hooks, and a content framework for improving the contents of this email. And I have added or I have improved this prompt over the course of a few months to make sure that I'm more than happy with the output. And I also started uploading sample emails that resonated with readers or subscribers to my email list. And I found that by doing this, by thinking of the Claude project as something that I refine over time, it was a lot more useful. Now you can of course use the star button as well if you want to quickly access your projects on the left hand sidebar. So you can see I've starred some of my Claude projects. So here's another one here, YouTube thumbnail designer. I am recording a tutorial about using Claude for creators. Just fix the typo. Here is my set of project instructions. This particular Claude project should now come up with a potential thumbnail design and a video description. So here are some text examples that I could use on the thumbnail. Here is a brief that I can give to my designer. And this basically cuts down the amount of time I spend doing anything else but recording my YouTube videos. And I have multiple different Claude projects for different parts of my business. So basically consider what you spend a lot of time on and chances are you can come up with a Claude project that could save you a good bit of time. Once you're happy with the output from Claude, click on Share. If you click on the Share button, you now have a public URL which you could potentially give to a team member or a client. And there will be a disclaimer that this was written or worked on with Claude. And if you click on Start Your Own Conversation, they'll be prompted to log into their instance of Claude and they can basically iterate the work that you've given them. Or you could just give it to a team member who has access to your account. You can change the share options from public to private at any time, basically if you don't want something to be available online. So it's kind of similar to what Notion has, whereby you can share a workspace. One use case for AI is cleaning up a transcript and turning it into content, or perhaps cleaning it up a transcript and turning it into a summary that I can quickly review. So here's a video I recorded some time ago on my channel that's all about email marketing advice for creators. So I clicked on Show Transcript, copied all of it to my clipboard, and then headed over to Claude. So I'm going to ask it to clean up this transcript. And unlike ChatGPT, when you paste in longer content, it doesn't appear in the dialog box. Instead, it appears here as uploaded content. So you could actually upload multiple transcripts or whatever you're working on. So clean up this YouTube transcript and provide a bullet point summary of lessons. And now Claude will just take a moment to analyze the transcript. Much like ChatGPT, I can click on the output and review everything in the right-hand sidebar. And it's pretty much outputted it almost like an article. So I'd be happy to publish this on my site because it's basically based on everything I said in this video in question. And in the left-hand side, it provided a summary of all of the key takeaways in this particular transcript. So it's outputted a little bit differently to ChatGPT, but I found that this is quite actionable. Now, if I want, I can copy the contents to my clipboard, or I can click on the download to file and it'll download it as a markdown file on my computer. You can also use Claude as a type of writing assistant. It's not a replacement for a dedicated grammar checker like Grammarly, which I profile and detail on the channel. But suffice to say, if you put in some of your content and then ask it to check for spelling mistakes, grammar issues, and typos, it should be able to come up with some improvements that you can make. Now again, this works better if you provide training data, for example, a file full of your most common mistakes. But you can see it's highlighted some spelling mistakes in this particular document. It's highlighted some grammar issues, and it's also highlighted some typos. Now I would need to go back and check that all of this is correct and then fix them one by one. But it is, I suppose, something that could save me a little bit of time from going from an idea to a published piece of content. You can also use Claude to create summaries. Now, I've had issues taking URLs and putting them directly into Claude. Sometimes it says I can't access the URL or I can't access the content in question. But it does work quite well if you have a PDF. A PDF, for example, of an academic paper or from a course that you've taken. So I took a course in copywriting a few years ago, and this PDF profiles some famous copywriters, and it's several dozen pages long. So I asked Claude to summarize this PDF, and basically it provided a nice little snapshot of all of the ideas inside of it. So if I had a few different PDFs for something that I was researching, I could ask Claude to summarize them all and to collate the findings and make a recommendation. If you're going to use Claude as a curator, I'd recommend gathering up some examples of your writing and training Claude on it, and use Claude projects for things that are repeatable. Then when you come up with an idea for something, Claude can help you iterate your idea and brainstorm it. You can use it to create first drafts of your content, and then you can go in and add your own touch. Claude is also great for collaboration, and I found that the latest model provides outputs that are a little better than ChatGPT, at least from my point of view. Of course, that's all subjective. However, Claude isn't quite as good at generating images, and it doesn't quite have something that compares to ChatGPT Canvas mode. That's an overview of how you can use Claude as a creator. If you've got questions, let me know in the comments section below this video. And if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.